To impress my fling, I had a threesome experience with him and his friend. I absolutely hated it and regret continuing it for 7 hours.
Once when I was in 10th grade, I dated a girl because I felt bad for her, but I was not attracted to her at all. I realized that I was leading her on, so broke off the relationship. She has major trust issues and hasn't dated anyone since then. It's been 9 years.
I was out with my kids in the mall and bumped into an ex-flame. Being a single mother, I flirted with him, but when he asked me if the kids are mine, I lied to him and said they were my sisters. My kids heard that and asked me if I won't be taking them back home with me. It broke my heart. Whew. I think it's hard for me to empathize with that just because I'm so excited for the day that I have kids. I do understand not wanting to be judged and wanting to be seen a certain way by someone.
When I was 11, I got into a relationship with a guy I met online who claimed he was 16. I was planning on going to meet him, but my parents stopped me. I found out later that he led his next victim to commit suicide. Well, this kind of hits a little close to home for me. Meeting people online kind of helped my self-esteem because it made me feel like, oh, this person doesn't even know me and they want to talk to me, and it makes you feel like you're pretty and you're worthy when you don't actually need that validation. It's kind of just got to come from yourself, not some random man on the internet.
I am a married woman, but I am still in love with my first boyfriend. I don't think I love anyone like I loved him. Sometimes I imagine him when I'm making love to my husband. That is interesting, and also I think it is pretty sad. I'm about to get married, and from time to time I do think about past relationships, and I don't necessarily think of them in the light of I wish I was still in them, just more on a reflective side of things. But I think you should probably question why you're in the relationship you're in, right? And if you still really love your husband, it might be something that you guys can actually work through together, even if it's hard.
My ex-husband told me that he was abused by his father when he was a teenager. I saw abusive tendencies in him as well, but I stayed with him for 6 years because I was sure I could change him. But after having our son, he finally did it. He gave me a black eye. My biggest regret was ignoring all the red flags because not having my ex around has brought me so much relief. Yeah, whew. Yeah, it's kind of this hope that you're clinging on to that will make a difference, right? You know, hoping that someone would change. And a lot of times it's so heartbreaking because the reality is sometimes people don't change. And I also would urge this person to not be so hard on themselves because, where they were coming from was such a place of love and compassion. It just turned out that, this person maybe wasn't ready for it.
I had an abusive ex-boyfriend and adopted 3 cats with him in an attempt to improve our relationship. One weekend after staying with my mother, I returned home to find that he had purposely killed our 3 cats to punish me for having gone for the entire weekend. I called the police and have a restraining order for him, but I was with him for so long, it terrifies me. Oh my gosh. How do you help somebody in that situation? What can you tell them to make them feel better? You kind of get yourself out and you leave and you do what's best for you, and to whoever this is from, I'm proud of them.
When my husband's parents divorced last year, his dad stopped talking to him. I told my husband that it was his dad's job to reach out first. A few weeks later, his dad committed suicide. I regret ever saying anything. Maybe if I stayed quiet, my partner would have spoke to his father and things could have been different. Our time with other people is not a given thing. It closes saying, maybe if I stayed quiet, my partner would have spoke to the father, but it's also possible that person might have taken the same approach and waited for the father to contact. So I advise people not to be overly critical with themselves at times, even though this is a grave, tragic situation, but
I'm a 19-year-old woman who has never fallen in love before, and I had never really identified to any particular sexuality. When my best friend told me that she was in love with me, it made me feel amazing. I wanted to be honest, so I told her that I wasn't sure. She said she would wait for me, and after 6 months I said yes. But 1 week later, I broke up with her because I realized I wasn't gay. I felt so guilty, confused, and ashamed, but the experience made me better understand who I was and more accepting of my mistakes. Yeah, I know what it feels like to both love someone who doesn't love you back and also to be on the receiving end of someone's feelings and not be able to reciprocate them, and I think both of them can actually feel really terrible. Sometimes the easy decision is to say, yes, okay, let's date, but if it's not right and if you feel that in your core, then it's more harmful to us actually. So sometimes the most loving thing that we can do to someone else is actually be honest with them.
I let my emotionally abusive boyfriend influence my college choice. I chose a small local college over an Ivy League because he was afraid that I'd become more pretentious in a bigger college. Fuck that guy. Damn. It sounds like they were going for something and the boyfriend was afraid that, she would become a little too good for him. And if that's the case and people want to prevent you from being your best good self, I say it's okay to outgrow people. I'm very sorry that, this abusive boyfriend was that manipulative because that should never happen to anybody. But on the other end of it, I think this probably can be a huge opportunity for this person to realize how much power they have and be able to choose for themselves. I hope that there's a discovery of that power, or there has been for this person.